Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about business basics out here in Mexico. We're going to be answering your questions as to whether or not you can actually start a business out here in Mexico. Spoiler alert, yes you can. You can definitely start a business out here in Mexico. And we're going to be talking about the differences in the kinds of businesses that you can start out here in Mexico because as you already know, there's the legal business and the illegal business, all right? And by illegal, I mean more like informal business, all right? The type of business that you usually see all over Mexico. Okay, so let's just get into it. Let's just start off with the informal business, okay? The illegal business, all right? Let's just start with those first because I think that for most of you guys out there, you already know what a formal business entails, all right? That's just a business that has licensing, is following all the rules and regulations, might have to, do a lot more than an informal business, all right? Basically anything that would be brick and mortar, any kind of business that is catering to the public and is of course paying taxes, that is a formal business, all right? And there are many formal businesses all over Mexico, but we're going to be starting off with talking about informal business. I think you guys are pretty familiar with what a formal business already is. So what is an informal business, or aka an illegal business, which again, it's not really illegal. We're going to cross into what would make it illegal, okay? And what allows Mexico to, again, exhibit capitalism, and anyone at any point in time can start a business legally without having to get a license, get some sort of business paperwork, again, licensing, without having to fill out and, become a corporation or anything like that. Little restrictions. Okay. It's basically a very, very easy entry way, okay, into business out here. And that means that it is also a very easy entryway into business for you, meaning anyone can start a business at any moment in time. Let's just get into it. Okay. So an informal business is what you see all over the place where there's someone on the street selling oranges that might have come from their tree, or might be selling, another fruit or vegetable that they grew themselves or bought from the market and are reselling. You're going to be seeing all kinds of people selling all kinds of things on the street. If you are already living here and you are familiar with Facebook Marketplace, or at least familiar with how things are sold out here, or how things work with that, you already know. There's so many people that advertise their business, okay, on Facebook, online, all over the place, and none of these businesses, have any kind of, legal standing in the sense of what you're used to, which is, again, a license, not just a license to operate the business, but a business license, perhaps, the taxes, and I can go on and on. So there's many aspects to this. You see, again, all kinds of businesses all over the place. In fact, if you live here or you're familiar with how Mexico works, there's all kinds of little stores all over the place that sell all kinds of things. And mostly everything is done cash only. Now, of course, there are places that will accept your card, but for the most part, everything is cash only. And that's what allows these informal businesses to function, because that's just the reality of it. Once you cross that threshold into, accepting any kind of electronic payment, then all of a sudden you have to formalize. Okay. And that's when, at that point, things like the tax ID number come into play, paying your taxes for that business come into play, and so many other factors. But again, we're not there yet. We're just starting off with the basic business, which you see all over Mexico. Again, there's all kinds of people that sell all kinds of things at all. And again, it's not just selling things, but services as well. You can go to a formal, for example, recently, Christian's laptop, died. Now, it wasn't a major thing. It was just more like a battery issue. But regardless, we had to get it fixed. Okay, we had to go get it serviced. And so we have our apprehensions. First of all, we don't know many places or anyone really that can fix this, and not anyone we really trust to just give the computer to get it fixed. So, Christian, went online and asked in one of her groups, hey, does anyone know a trusted individual that can help me with my computer issue? And sure enough, a few of the people on the Facebook group, said, hey, go to this person. And so, this person, eventually, I went over there and we're working on the computer as we speak. But long story short, the guy was a trusted individual, and he has a totally informal business, okay? Meaning he's just working out of his home. And that's plenty. That's enough. Eventually, he'll grow, all right? And he'll, have his own place and then, eventually formalize. But in the meantime, he can function, okay, informally, okay, fixing computers, being a taxi driver, selling, brownies online, on Facebook, selling food, selling all kinds of services. I could go on and on. And so the reality is that most people out here, no matter what your status is, okay, so now let's just talk about legality when it comes to a foreigner. So when you're out here on a tourist visa, okay, let's just be 100% within the law. That's all we do on this channel. Because again, a lot of people get misconceptions and thinking that, just because I tell people how things really are out here, that all of a sudden they're, illegal or wrong, but they're not. You know what I mean? Again, there's many YouTubers out there, and everyone has their way of describing things and talking about things, and I'm just, basically telling you exactly how it is as me living here, married to a Mexican and speaking the language and very heavily integrated into everything out here, as opposed to an expat that only speaks English or maybe a little Spanish, and it's very hard for them to really integrate within the culture the way I do. But as I was saying, going into the business, the law, okay, the legality of it, okay, if you are here on a tourist visa or on certain other visas out there, it might be a work visa, whatever. I don't know what student visa, I don't know. There are restrictions, and under law, you're not allowed to practice, okay, business. You're not allowed to sell, buy, whatever. Now, again, this is very loosey-goosey. Obviously, if you want to sell a few things on Facebook, it's not a problem. Obviously, if you got yourself a little side hustle in school, all right, or at work or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But what they really mean is you can't really start moving your way towards formalizing it, okay? Because there are penalties to that. But again, you do you know what I mean? Honestly, this is not any kind of advice per se, when it comes to the legality of things here. What is it? Practice business at your own risk when it comes to being here on a tourist visa or any other visa. But if you have a temporary visa or permanent visa, then guess what? You can function out here like anyone else. Once you have a temporary or above, temporary or permanent, you can do just about anything. There are certain things in which you still need, okay, to have, to have citizenship for, but that's things that are not even related to this at this moment. We will discuss those later on in other, future episodes, because there are a few restrictions to certain businesses out there in which you do need Mexican citizenship. But for just about 99% of all businesses out there, you don't need anything. All you need, okay, is to have your, again, your legal status here, okay? Once you have your legal status here, you can do anything. And you can start business at any point, meaning you can have an informal business. Because look, let's just be honest. I have an informal business. Plenty of people out here have their informal business, okay? Mexicans and other expats as well, other foreigners. But a lot of people, me included, we're looking to formalize that business. So I am trying to become, formal. Meaning getting my business license, getting the proper, other licenses that I need and permits that I need, paying my taxes and going through all that. Which, by the way, once you start to formalize a business, which is what I'm doing, I'm slowly realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is the large barrier to entry here. Which is true. A lot of you guys in the comments have talked about this. When you try to really do a formal business and try to, do everything by the law and just try to do everything the right way, it is increasingly difficult and more of a headache than you could ever imagine. But when you're just trying to keep it as simple as possible, meaning the more informal the business is, the easier it is for the business to happen. And so I think that is why, there is a huge disparity here when it comes to businesses, where you'll find, certain businesses that are totally 100% formalized and others that are not, and in between. There's a lot of in between. But for the most part, most people practice an informal type of business. Most people are entrepreneurs or have a side gig, assuming they have a job or work for somebody. But the reality is that, for most people out there, they have a informal business, or work some sort of informal trade, and again, it's not necessarily that it's encouraged by the Mexican government, but the Mexican government does not enforce it, because they know that if they even think about enforcing anything, which, by the way, I don't even know if there's any laws per se. I don't think there's any laws out there that would restrict anyone out there from selling anything. Okay. Again, I'm talking about Mexican citizen or any one of you with the proper visa. But like I said, I don't think there's any kind of restriction at all. I think that it's just once it gets to a certain point where you need to formalize. And why do you need to formalize? Well, because even though Mexico, their laws and regulations are minimum, they practice small government out here for the most part. They really do not impede much, okay, when it comes to business. And so depending on what kind of business and where you're trying to establish that business, they are going to ask for you to have certain licenses. Like, for example, if you're going to be practicing, I don't know, if you're going to be selling food, or any kind of edible food, food, drink, whatever it is. It could just be simply coffee. You need to have a food vendor's permit, and you got to go through that whole food sanitation, handling, all that stuff. Okay, you got to get one of those licenses and permits. Which is great. I'm glad, I'm glad that, everybody here has their, food safety handler's permit and all that good stuff. That's a great thing. So there's that. When it comes to certain businesses, other businesses have to have other licenses. Let's say you're going to sell liquor or sell tobacco or beer or wine, whatever. Things like that. I'm sure that there's other types of licensing to do certain kind of businesses. But long story short, for the most part, there are tons of options in Mexico where you're going to find tons of people that do the informal business and the formal business for anything, any service, anything, any product out there. And you're just going to find it all over the place, all right? But when it comes to you as a foreigner, you can start a business, all right? Now, the thing is that, a lot of people, they get scared. And they get, this whole misconception that, oh my God, even though I'm here on my temporary visa or I'm here on whatever visa, I'm not going to be able to start a business because I'm not going to be able to get the paperwork and whatever, whatever it is, that is your, why you are scared as to, starting business in Mexico. The reality is that it's not the case. The real case is that if you see tons of people all over the place selling all kinds of things very informally, what makes you think that you cannot do it as well? I'm trying to dispel the misconception on this channel. And I'm trying to dispel the misconception, okay, that is all over the YouTubes, okay, on this channel, that is constantly talking about the fact that, you need all this paperwork and all this bureaucracy and all these tax ID numbers and all these licenses and all this to do anything. And the reality is that no. For anyone that's out here in Mexico, do you not see what goes on around you and see how people just function on a daily basis, without any kind of restriction? For example, I'm driving my car. And when I'm driving my car, I just always want to put my seatbelt on, okay? Just because. I'm forced a habit, okay? But the reality is that I got an old car, the seatbelt is not working so good. So it's really like, a moot point. The reason I put it on is so that in case there's a police officer out there, they see me and they see me with my seatbelt on. Anyways, the other day I was taking Christian to paint her mural, to go to work, whatever. And she's like, we're on a busy road, and she's like, hey, can you stop right over there? on the busy road, can you stop over there so that we can buy oranges from the lady that is not regulated, no license, no nothing, no whatever. She wanted to buy some fruit to take to work. Yeah, sure, no problem. So I just kind of park, do the Mexican thing, whatever, blocking traffic, whatever. It's not a big deal. I'm not the only car. So just park on the side of the road while she's getting her oranges. And I'm thinking about the whole seatbelt thing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make it as quick as possible here on the story. But as I'm thinking about the whole thing, I literally, I see a truck that I see all the time, and anyone that lives here sees all the time, and you're probably seeing on camera at some point. Anyways, a truck full of Mexicans. You know what I mean? They're in the back of the pickup truck or the back of the truck, and no one's wearing any kind of anything. No seatbelt, no safety harness, no nothing. No one's tied down, nothing. All right. And this is on a regular street. You see them on highways, going at very high speeds. And they're not wearing anything. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, why the hell would a cop stop me for not wearing my seatbelt when they don't even stop them? You follow me? You follow the logic here? So once you're living out here and once you realize how things function out here, you're like, oh, wait a minute. What the hell am I so scared of? Scared of what? This is not USA, this is not Canada, this is not Europe, this is not wherever where we have these totalitarian governments that don't allow us to even think, let alone function, whatever, okay? I don't want to get into it. Don't get me started. The point I'm making is that out here, you are responsible for you, as I've talked about many times on this channel as to, why some people love Mexico and some people hate it. In Mexico, you are responsible for you. No one's responsible for you. No government is responsible for you. There's no entity out there that's going to be responsible for you. Sure, you can get insurance. Sure, you can whatever. But at the end of the day, you got to deal with it. You got to handle it. You got to figure it out. And for some people, they love it. They love the fact that they get to, live their life and figure things out on their own and not have some intervention from something else. But others hate the fact that there is no government intervention or there's no middleman or other person out there to, come to the rescue. Okay? Anyways, so with that being said, that's why a lot of businesses out here function informally. All right? No matter who runs them, whether it's you, okay, the foreigner, the expat, okay, or the Mexican, selling fruit on the side or whatever. If she eats that fruit and she gets sick, like she gets Montezuma's revenge or whatever, she's just never going to buy fruit from that lady ever again. That's it. But there's no suing of that lady. There's nothing, all right? That lady, I don't know if she does, but I doubt that she would even have her food handler's license. And she's peeling oranges with her bare hands and serving them to people. Now, it's up to you whether you want to eat that or not. If you don't want to eat that, there's a McDonald's across the street, okay? Or other places across the street, Mexican versions, which will sell you, okay, the same fruit for 5 times the price, but they have their paperwork, which again don't mean nothing, because what are you going to do? You get sick from the, from the grocery store? What, are you going to sue the grocery store? You're not. You can't. Now, of course, if there are bad practices, bad business practices out here, there is this thing called Profeco. Profeco. I think I spelled it right. Anyways, Profeco. And they are like the Better Business Bureau out there. But you know what? They actually work. Don't get me started. I'm American, and the Better Business Bureau, the whole thing is a straight up scam. Don't get me started. But out here, I thought when I heard Profeco, when I was first living here, that was also like, come on. Like it wasn't really a thing. Like it wasn't really like a trustworthy thing. But no, Profeco out here is amazing. So basically what they do is that they are there to protect you, the customer, the client. So if there's bad business, okay, if you're a bad business person, they're going to come after you. Now, again, you got to be formalized for them to really come after you, or for them to really be able to come after you, or for someone to be able to call Profeco on you. But for any formal business out there, Profeco is your biggest, worry, okay? Because if you do something bad and you are a McDonald's, an airline, it doesn't matter what business you are. They will come down hard on you. For example, airlines, they're notorious for being horrible. Well, guess what? They're also notorious for getting Profeco on their butt and protecting, citizens. So yeah, flying out here sucks, but trust me, it is 10 times better than in the USA. because they are always on notice by the government. And I could go on with other businesses, and I could go on and on, because they are there, to make things right. Now, again, they're not perfect, but man, to have a functioning government body that protects the consumer, okay, that's great. That's wonderful. So again, that's for the formal businesses, all right? They're out there to help. There is a little bit of government to help, okay, with all that. But, let's just finish off here with the whole informal business. So long story short, can you start an informal business? Yes, of course. There are tons of expats that have their informal business. Now, usually, I say this and I'm laughing because, I'm just going to be honest, but usually, the service that a lot of expats provide have to do with, again, expat services. All right? Basically, scamming the foreigner. Sometimes they provide a good service, sometimes they don't. It's always up in the air. So, expat services or real estate services, okay? Those two are big major things in which there are tons of scammers out there, because again, you as a foreigner come out here, you don't know anyone, you don't know the language, and then someone that's from your country, speaks your language, knows your customs, is there to help you. But then you find out the hard way that they're there to screw you, and they end up screwing you a good majority of the time. So, real quick, let's use this point, okay, in the episode, to talk about, my expat services. Bruh. Look, the only reason I got expat services is because of popular demand by you guys that are always asking for these things, okay? But look, long story short, if you need any kind of help in moving out here and you want a one-on-one conversation with me, a Zoom call, $50 for an hour, or $50 until all your questions are answered, okay? $50 US, okay? And you get to have me for an hour or until all your questions are answered on a Zoom call. I also do personal meetups, consult with me for that. And if you need help moving out here, okay, on my website, I have Jose Novello, the immigration/real estate lawyer, okay, that can help you with anything, all right, or business, okay? He's a big business guy, right? He's going to be on the show talking about that soon in a live stream, okay? If you need a personal assistant, Stephanie, a Mexican-born citizen, she is out there to help you out as your personal assistant. If you need translation services, if you need to move out here, meaning that you need, how to find a place. I talk about all the times the cheap living, and you guys are always complaining, I can't find any cheap living. Everything's expensive. So again, you got to go through the locals, all right? And that's, you talk to Stephanie. And I got a bunch of other things. You need glasses and you're moving out here, glasses, dentist, whatever. I got a bunch of things. Check out my website for that. Shout out to all the patrons. Shout out to all the members. If you want to help me, if I've ever helped you at any point in time, okay, with anything, and you want to help back, okay, you want to help the show, you want to help me help others, again, you already know what to do. Leave $1, leave $5, leave $50, leave whatever you want to leave down below. Become a patron, become a member. Shout out to all of you. Love you guys. Shout out to all the new subscribers. So many new subscribers. We're about to hit 7,000 subscribers. Shout out to all the old subscribers. Shout out to everyone out there. Welcome aboard. Welcome. Nice to have you. Love you guys. And again, you already know, please share the video if you find this helpful in any way possible, okay? Sorry, I had to do that. I had to drop all that. You already know. I got to pay the bills as well. That's why I'm starting a business as well, because as you already know, this doesn't pay much. Even though, again, I do it because I want to help you guys and I love you guys, but you already know we're going to keep helping you guys by showing you guys how to start businesses. So today's episode, again, we're just talking about the basics. We're just having a conversation about business out here and how things are out here, from the informal perspective. We're going to talk about the formal in a minute, but from the informal perspective, because, again, a lot of you guys are constantly, worried about how you're going to make money when you come out here. And not everybody wants to work an online job. Not everybody wants to have a gig job. Not everybody wants to do those things. I get it. Trust me. I understand. But a lot of you guys do want to start your own business, all right? And you guys want to know how to start your own business. And so to me, it starts small. If you're into cooking, if you like to make soap, if you like to, whatever it is you like to do, you can start doing it here, okay? If you already have an established business back home, you can transfer it over here. It's easier than you think, all right? a lot of people have all kinds of jobs, you know what I mean, and all kinds of businesses already, you know what I mean, that, you know, you don't even need to start out here. Maybe you can have your, you know, your headquarters out here. Maybe you can have, you know, eventually you can start selling here to the public, but a lot of you guys already got your own thing online. But for those that don't, for those that are looking to start a business here, not a brick and mortar, but a physical business, okay? Like I said, you might be the guy that helps people with computers. You might be a mechanic. You might want to start a food business. Whatever it is you want to do. Like I said, sell soap. You sell, you know, any kind of service out there. You know, there's a lot of people that I know as well that have tour guides. You know, they're tour guide people. All right, and like, I mean, I could go on and on with all the expat and foreigner businesses that I know. In fact, one of the things that I kind of want to do on this channel going forward, you know, this year and beyond, is that I want to interview other foreigners and other expats that are out here doing their business, okay? Whatever that business is. And again, you know, share their experience and what they've gone through and how easy or hard or whatever it's been. Because there's so many people that move out here and they just, you know, again, they come out here and they already have the old school immigrant mentality where they just come out here and they just set up shop, get their immigration papers in order, and before you know it, they already got their small little business that they grow into a bigger business eventually, whatever that is, whatever that business is. And so a lot of people already got that mentality and don't even need to be watching this video. But there's a lot of you guys that, you know, are watching this video because you are, again, inquiring, wondering what it is you need to start a business out here. Because for the most part, most of you guys think that in order to start a business here, it's just like back home, where you need to have all these licenses, all these permits, all these, you know, again, you got to pay all this rent. You got to have oh my God, it just gives me a headache thinking about it. And a lot of you guys think that in order for you to start any business out here, that's really the only way to do it. And that's not the only way to do it. That's one way that you can do it. And even when you're going to do a brick and mortar business, it's really not that complicated or that difficult and compared to how it is back home. Trust me, I've helped many people with businesses back home. I've had my own businesses back home. You know, that's something I've done. Again, I'm a chef, trained chef, cook, whatever. I'm in the restaurant business, been a restaurant guy in that business for a while. But for a stint in my life, you know, many years ago, I also did help with people in their businesses as a business consultant, because business is business. It don't matter. I used to be in the food business, and that translates well to a lot of other businesses out there. And you know, the reality is that, as I've talked to you guys before, you know, I've let you guys know that you really don't need much to live out here, okay? You don't need much to survive out here. So if you, okay, got the right mentality, all right, and the right ideas and the right, you know, again, you know, you got that, you already know what's up, then you guys will be fine out here. Okay, again, don't get it twisted. You need to know the language, all right? Really, if you really want to be successful, you need to know Spanish, know the language, okay? But the reality is that once that barrier is crossed, everything else is easy peasy, simple as pie. And again, even if you don't know the language, you can still, you know, again, just within the expat groups, you know, within, you know, all the other foreigners that are out there, that again, don't necessarily have to be from your country. They're from all over the place. You can start with them as a customer base. All right. With the business I'm starting, you know, my customer base is everybody. So now with, you know, that being said, you know, I'm doing a formal business, and that formal business, as I'm starting to launch it, I'm starting to see how expensive and complicated it can get. And that's why a lot of people don't formalize, because basically, like, for example, in the USA, you know, you have to do your taxes for the business, depending on the state. You know, sometimes it's just once a year, or it's quarterly, every quarter, so 4 times a year. But in Mexico, it's once a month. Every month, you got to deal with the tax man. So you need to have an accountant, okay? And you got to deal with that. So basically, it's almost like doing your taxes every month. I know, what a pain. Not just the taxes, but all these other things, okay, that are going on. But long story short, it's pretty basically the same, almost like in the USA. So it's not that hard. So once you want to formalize, you can do that. It's not a problem, you know, to, you know, formally launch a business. But that's when, you know, things start getting, you know, again, expensive, complicated, more difficult, and so on and so forth. All right. But, once that barrier is crossed, okay, like for example, with my business, I want to cater to everybody. So I want to cater to not just you guys, okay, because, I think you guys will like my business and you'll come visit the business once, if you're ever visiting out here to this part of Mexico. But anyways, with what I was saying about the business, I'm going to be catering to the Mexicans. I'm going to be catering to the typical Mexican. And if you are establishing a business out here, you got to also keep that in mind, that you're going to be, again, that's going to be your main customer base. So if that's going to be your main customer base, what does that mean? You got to drop your prices. All right. Whatever the hell you're charging back home, you got to charge less here. Now, if it's physical stuff, look, again, you already know that the cost of everything out here is cheaper. So if you run a business, you already know how to do your, margin, all right, and your cost per item and, all that stuff, and you already know. So, but the thing is that, yeah. And so for a lot of people, it's easy to get accustomed to this. It's not a big deal. Business is business. Money is money. Currency is currency, right? We're just in a different country. But for some people, this is something that's really difficult to still wrap your head around. Where you're like, man, I used to sell this for $15. I can't fathom selling it for $5 here. My time is worth more than that for whatever it is you're doing. That's what I'm trying to say. But, once you're out here, you realize, again, some things you can charge your American or European or Canadian prices for, but not everything. That's just the reality of it. You know what I mean? Most things, especially if you're catering to the local population, well, guess what? You know what I mean? You have to, you cater to their wallets and what they can afford. So again, for example, if you want to keep selling things at American prices, okay, or European prices, well, guess what? You're going to have to move to a fancier part of town, all right? And you're going to have to pay a lot more for that real estate, a lot more for the taxes, a lot more for so many things. And so then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're charging more, but you're paying more. And what are your profit margins? Depending on what you're selling and what you're doing, it will depend on whether you want to do business there or not. Other businesses, they're, you can just do them anywhere, and other, meaning, let's say you have a food cart, okay, and you want to move it around, all right, to different locations. Or let's say that you have, again, services that you help people with, that's another thing that you can just, have your home base in your home. Many people have, whether they're formal or informal, their businesses are based out of their home. Or their business, is basically the building where their business is. They also happen to live there. Again, formal and informal, both kinds of businesses. So, that's just the reality of it, okay? Out here, things are just very different. And if you want to come out here and you want to live with the people, okay, live and be part of the culture, you want to go on ahead and you want to start your own business, you got to keep that in mind. You got to keep in mind who your real customer base is. Now, your clients or your business might only be to a niche, customer base, aka foreigners, expats, and that's, another story, which again, you already know with everything I've said so far in this episode, you don't need no business license, you don't need any of that. Later on, you can get all that, but eventually, right off the bat, with your temporary visa, you can already function, okay? And for anyone out there that's a risk taker, you already know you can function right off the plane, all right? But, the reality is that that's the situation. The situation is that the more you want to formalize, the more things get more difficult, okay? And for anyone, it's not just you, okay? The foreigner, the expat, or whatever. Because in our countries, at least in the US, it's very easy. If you want to, do it the right way, it's just expensive. It gets expensive real quick. And in fact, and for a lot of people, for a lot of businesses in a lot of states and a lot of places in the USA, that is the only way that you can do anything. I mean, for example, try having a little home business, a business out of your home, selling whatever it is, okay, out of your home. Try doing that in certain states, and you're going to have the police knocking on your door because you're selling fruitcakes out of your home. Without a license, without the proper permits, without the proper building, whatever, yada, 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 We're out here, no, out here, I know plenty of people that, for example, they want to, they go to school as a baker, as a culinary, person, say I want to bake for a living. And while they're working for the local hotel as the expert cupcake maker, they also in their home are able to have a small business baking cupcakes and cakes and pies and cookies and all kinds of baked goods. And eventually, without any license, without anything, okay, super informal, eventually, they're able to make enough money where they can, get all their money together and then formally start a business, okay? And then formally deal with the taxes and the licensing and the this and the that, okay? But nowhere along the line are authorities going to get involved, all right? They're just not. And so that's the thing, okay? That's, I think, what most people out there are, more, scared of than anything else is just the authorities, the tax man, the police officer, the whatever. The reality is that, again, you got nothing to worry about. I think the people that don't live here are the ones that worry the most because they see what's going on around them in their country and they think that, oh my God, Mexico is full of savages, or it's going to be worse over there. But the reality is that it's the complete opposite. For anyone that lives out here or has lived out here, or has visited out here, or knows Mexico, or just watches my videos or other people's videos of showing them how it is out here, well, you guys already know that it's not that way at all. I mean, do you really think that the lady selling oranges on the side of the road has licenses and, the food vendor's permit and then pays her taxes or anything? No, she doesn't. All right. And do you think any of these other? No, they don't. You know what I mean? It's just they don't, and it's just the fact. And we're gonna go deeper into this. Okay, like I said, we're gonna have Jose Novello on the show in the future episode talking about this more in depth, and you guys will be able to ask him questions. Okay, and he will answer you any kind of question. And look, sometimes I'm wrong about certain things. He's corrected me many times, on live stream. But that's why we have him. He is the actual expert. But he'll explain a lot deeper, a lot more, in detail as to what the situation really is with business out here. But I'm giving you just a basic rundown to answer your question that I already answered a few seconds into the show, okay? Which was, can you start a business in Mexico? Yes, you can. And do you need to have all this paperwork and all this yada, 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 all these licenses and permits? No, you don't. No, you don't. Because a typical Mexican does not. And things are just very different out here, and they function very different out here. And again, outside of you being on a tourist visa or a student visa or some other visa like that, anyone that's here on a permanent or temporary visa, you're good to go. You're just like any other Mexican, okay? So you can do whatever. So don't let anyone out there scare you into thinking that you cannot, okay? Like I said, if for whatever reason, you're functioning informally for too long and you got a really big business and you're just, avoiding the tax man, avoiding, getting regulated and this and that. Listen, it's just you're going to get a paid a visit by somebody, and most likely you're just going to have to pay a few fines until you get everything rectified and you're good to go and you can go back to doing business. That's it. It's not a big deal. So it's not even like it is back home, okay? Where, you probably go to jail, just for, selling cactuses, without the proper licensing, or, for mowing the lawn incorrectly, or for, again, if you have the improper lemonade stand in your neighborhood, you can definitely face some jail time in the USA. Not here. Not here. You can sell all the lemonade you want, okay? And like I said, I think I talked about enough when it comes to the formal business as well, and when it comes to this episode, because you already know, you don't need to know much, as opposed to that it's the same as it is where you're from, only it's more expensive and more complicated the more formal or the bigger the business is. But again, with the proper tax man, the proper lawyer, the proper help, that's not a problem either, as you know, for anyone that's a real businessman out there. All this is done legally, okay? And this is why we do these episodes, so that you can have the confidence that you are operating legally within the confines of the Mexican law and that you have nothing to worry about and that you don't have to be so afraid of things that you got nothing to be afraid of, okay? So that's just the reality of it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. You already know, if you find any value for, with anything that I've said here today, you already know what to do, how to contribute, how to help the show. I really appreciate it. For anyone else out there that, has enjoyed this show and you want to see more videos on this topic, please check out the videos that I'm going to link at the end of this video that are going to be talking more about business. And again, we're going to have the lawyer on, and we're going to just continue this talk. Okay, we're going to continue this topic on business, okay, going forward on this channel, going, in the future. Remember, you're watching this in early January of 2023, all right? I don't know. In fact, you might be watching this 10 years from now. I don't know when you're watching this, but I'm assuming you're watching this, early 2023. And so this is why I'm alerting you guys of what's to come. Not only are we going to be doing not only are we going to be talking about business, but we're going to be doing real estate as well. And we're going to be talking about all that. And like I said, there's so many people out there, expats, that function, okay, by being realtors. They're into real estate. And they're on the tourist visa, okay, illegally, all right? So those people are bad people, and you already know what they're doing. If they're out here practicing real estate illegally and you are their customer, I don't know what else to say. So, but anyways, I think this episode has gone long enough, all right? It seems like we're pushing 40 minutes here and then some. I know you love my videos and my content and my face and the stuff that I'm showing you there, but I gotta go. I gotta save some of this for another future episode. Again, we're gonna be talking more about this subject and all the other subjects that we've already talked about on this channel in previous, episodes and all that good stuff. So you already know, we're just gonna keep ramping it up, and I'm gonna show you my business. All right, we're gonna be, again, we're gonna go deep into, what it really means to run a business out here. Okay, because you're gonna be seeing my business, and I'm gonna show you all about it. It's gonna, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun. I cannot wait, okay, to show you and to keep doing this. All right, it's awesome. You guys are the best. So that's it, guys. I'm wrapping this up. I'm Chatty Cathy today. That's why I'm recording this episode. All right, guys, you already know what's up. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit that bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.